Drivers, start your engines!
This is MRN Motorsports Monday. One full hour of news, interviews, and opinion about the past weekend's racing action.
Pace car's turning off. Be ready.
Now here's your hosts, Woody Cain and Joey Meier.
Green flag, green flag.
Logano sweeps the contender round of the chase with 3 victories, but boy, was it crazy at the end at Talladega yesterday. What in the world happened? Does this count as an official start of the show or not?
Start of show. Are we live? Is this thing on?
It's
hello,
on.
hello.
It is on.
Oh,
it
so
is
we're
on.
going. This is official.
Yep. It
we
really
did start
counts.
the race. We started. Let's do it again.
Okay, start over. Here we go. Logano sweeps the contender round. 4 drivers eliminated, among them the sport's most popular driver, Dale Earnhardt Jr., also Ryan Newman, Denny Hamlin. What?
Caution's out.
Okay.
It's just whatever. However we finish the show is how it is. That doesn't matter.
That gives you an idea of how crazy it was at Talladega yesterday. Also, the trucks ran. They were back in action. Timothy Peters won for the 2nd year in a row at Talladega. He'll be along a little bit later to tell us all about it.
Almost had a first-time rookie driver in victory lane.
Almost.
Man, that was awesome. I'll tell you what.
About that much more fuel, right?
Well, the interesting thing about that is we had plenty of fuel. We think it's very difficult. There's no fuel gauges in these trucks. Everything's done mathematically. But there have been situations in the past where we've had in excess of 5 gallons in the tank. But because the banking of the track and how slow the pace car speeds were and how long we were under caution, the truck won't pick those 5 gallons up. And we came to
which is why sometimes you see guys riding on the apron.
That's it, riding on the apron and making aggressive moves left and right to keep the fuel cell pickup full. Brian Keselowski, kudos to you. He was on the show last week. If you didn't get a chance to hear it, you can hear his excitement before the race. Did an unbelievably great job. Not that we didn't expect it. If Brad didn't expect him to do a good job, he wouldn't have put him in the truck.
Yeah.
But it was his first time in there. First time driving a truck in the series ever. Here we are. We led 25, 26 laps. Had a chance. Front row. Got passed illegally, which we'd like to talk about that, right? Because the guy doing the pushing got black flagged. The only way the 33 truck got by us was being pushed illegally, but he got to keep his spot.
Well, it used to be the pusher and the pushee would get the flag, right? And now not so much.
I didn't read that rule change. I'm not sure where it came from.
A lot of confusion.
It was in the same
huh?
memo about when they defined the official start of the race.
Wow.
So, wow.
Yeah. It was crazy. But pandemonium at Talladega.
Timothy Peters, one of the fastest trucks all afternoon long, was able to pull the victory out. Unbelievably, his first victory all year long, and that's kind of. But he won this race last year, so it's not like he's new to it.
Wow, he sure did.
Wow.
A lot happened, and we have plenty to tell you about on the program today. We'll also be playing back some of your fan comments from over the weekend, our fan forum hotline, the number of which is 844-427-5676. That's 844-4-ASK-MRN. We've got several of you who had comments about the finish of yesterday's race.
No way.
So let's talk a little bit about it.
Really?
People believe Kevin Harvick intentionally caused a wreck and ought to be penalized. People believe the race should have been over on the first attempt that wasn't an attempt. What in the world just happened?
Several weeks ago, NASCAR made a change on their restarts, okay? Brad was the first car to get penalized for the restart rule, even though it didn't affect the actual restart. By the letter of the law, Brad broke the rule. Right. We get it. No complaints.
That involves jumping the leader.
Exactly right. Yesterday's green-white checker, NASCAR made a rule. We're only going to have one attempt at a green-white checker. Most people...
Just for Talladega.
Just for Talladega and Daytona so far, just for our super speedways. The rest of the races, we have 3 attempts.
Right.
Everybody believes that an attempt constitutes the green flag or green light coming out. That's how we're going. We're accelerating through the gears. However, by the letter of the law, NASCAR says we did not even start a lap. Therefore, it can't constitute an attempt. Very, very one of those rules that's written back in the back room that probably in Daytona they know exactly where it's 10-5-2-A subparagraph B.
A little known codicil, right?
We have to be able to start the lap in order for it to constitute an attempt. We did not get to the start-finish line. So, therefore, the initial start, which appeared to be an attempt, green light on, cars accelerating, we did not attempt to start. And that caused pandemonium because then the next official start was when all heck broke loose.
It sure did. Now, after the race, Mike Helton, who is NASCAR's vice chairman, spoke about the restart. This is number 9, so let's let the folks hear what he had to say.
What we saw, there's no evidence right now that there was anything that the 4-car did that was questionable other than moving out of line. When we stopped the attempt before anybody crossed the green or the start-finish line on the first attempt, we just reset everybody except for the cars that were involved in the accident and the cars that pitted. I think that was the 48, the 42, and the 5, and then we restarted. And then we had the second incident, and on that one, everybody, we ended the race on that one attempt because we had cars that had crossed the start-finish line.
So there you go. NASCAR's position is, since no one actually crossed the stripe, the start-finish line, that didn't constitute an attempt at a green-white checkers finish.
Yeah, he just said it better than I did.
Well, he gets paid to do stuff like that.
Right. He's the official guy. He's like the Wikipedia of NASCAR.
So, I mean, but I have not heard that specific definition before.
Neither have I. I will say that even during this race, there have been times where the pace car pulls off. We've gotten to the restart line, and the yellow has come back out.
Something happens somewhere.
We've never gone as far as, in my recollection of near memory,
near memory. I like that.
Yeah, right?
That's pretty good.
Have the green flag actually waved before getting to the start-finish line, the yellow flag came back out. But again, crazier things have happened at Talladega. We've seen cars leave the track under wrecks. This one here actually happened before we even got to the initial start-finish line, and they were able to wave it off. Now, the flagman never waved the green flag. The lights, which are controlled up in the tower, were activated green.
See, I thought the green flag did come out at one point and then switched to yellow.
Well, I can't. I'm being told no.
Okay.
I'm being told that he never had the green flag, that they were yelling at him in his ear.
But regardless, the point is no one crossed the start-finish line.
Correct.
That's the defining moment according to NASCAR.
Correct. And that's so that caused the first attempt of our
I was told there would be no math, and this is really getting crazy now.
Yeah, so that started the second attempt, and the interesting thing was some drivers took different. The first attempt, not really. Drivers that were ill or ill handling or ill running moved out of the way, knowing they were going to be in the way. After being informed, hey, you need to do something different, and we need to have an accident to not lose all these points. He did something different, and that's where the drivers involved are claiming bad things about certain other drivers, which is Kevin. I've never in my history have seen a defending Cup champion have so many people mad at him.
Well, but you always say if people are mad, it must have been a good race.
If you're not on the edge of your seat for that entire race like I was, it was an exciting race. The
intensity was way up there.
Absolutely. And we don't talk about this as much if Dale Jr. wins this race.
And he darn near did.
Yes.
Had he been maybe a foot further out front when that caution came out for the second time, he would have won it. However, you mentioned the Kevin Harvick thing. Our Steve Post spoke to Kevin Harvick after the race, and he got this reaction from what happened from his perspective.
What was going on with the race car? What were the challenges you had here today? But knowing the good news is you're moving on to Martinsville.
Yeah, it wasn't running very well on the restarts, and there at the end, just trying to get out of the way. And I don't know if I clipped the 6 or if he came across as I was coming up, but it's one of those days where everything went well until the very end, and then bottom kind of fell out on those last couple restarts when it cooled off. It's got a broken exhaust pipe or something.
So there you go. Kevin Harvick talking with our Steve Post. He says he came up, didn't realize the 6 was out there, clipped him, turned him, Trevor Bayne, into the field, and as they say in the sitcoms, mayhem ensued.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now here's what Mike Helton had to say about Kevin Harvick's situation. This is number 10.
Yeah, obviously there's some of the teams that questioned what the 4-car did on the restarts, and we went back and walked through with them. But procedurally from NASCAR, we don't see anything there that is of suspect. So far. Only thing I mean about so far is I've been around long enough to know that something could crawl out of the woodwork the next 24 hours or so. That's it.
You think something could crawl out of the woodwork on this, or are we done with this?
There are cameras everywhere.
Yes, there are.
They've already seen what Kevin did. There are audio clips everywhere. Nobody told him to wreck anybody on purpose. There's only one person that knows what happened, why it happened, and if it was a falsehood or a manipulation of results.
Right, and for the people who want something done, how do you prove that? That's your dilemma.
You can't. We're racers, man. Kevin did what he had to do. If you're on the 4-car, if you're a fan of the 4-car, you love what he did. And we've got another 50 minutes to discuss this, which we will.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we will.
A lot more to talk about on this particular topic and others. We got to take a quick time out here on Motorsports Monday. We'll take your Twitter questions at MRN Radio. Use the hashtag AskMRN so we can find your question along the way. But next, we'll talk with the truck winner, Timothy Peters.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
Ready to take the training wheels off your race scanner? Go to fanvision.com and upgrade your experience with FanVision. Not only will you be able to hear the race,
Dale Earnhardt Jr. gets a good run, drafting help from Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick. Jr. again pulls up alongside for the race lead.
you'll see every moment through live video, instant replays, live stats, and more.
Hi, I'm Jamie McMurray, driver of the #1 Cessna Chevrolet, and I never go to the track without my FanVision. So go to fanvision.com to rent or buy yours today.
Hey, I'm Jimmy Johnson. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday.
Here comes the field through the tri-oval to the start-finish line. Brandon Jones and Timothy Peters. And it's Brandon Jones who jumps out with the lead down on the inside of the racetrack. Peters trying to pull up alongside in turn one.
Brandon Jones' worst enemy is now being helped by his teammate. Spencer Gallagher gave Peters a pretty good shove. Timothy Peters around the outside to take the lead. Now the teammates will battle for second. Spencer Gallagher with help from John West Townley.
Whoa, Spencer Gallagher gets turned and they crash. John West Townley's on the outside wall. Gallagher and Townley make hard contact as the field races past them back to turn 3.
Here they come into turn 3. Timothy Peters at the front of the field. Brandon Jones back to second. Everybody stacked up side by side from third on back.
And the caution flag just now waving at the start-finish line.
So Timothy Peters takes over the lead, comes across the line. He'll score the victory, his first since this race last year.
There you go. That's how it sounded on Motor Racing Network on Saturday. Timothy Peters in the number 17 Red Horse Racing Toyota Tundra wins second time in a row at Talladega. He joins us on the guest line now. Timothy, congratulations, man. You and the guys have figured something out at Talladega, haven't you?
Hey, thanks, guys, for having me on. And what a fast Tundra that we had down there. And it all goes back to the guys at Red Horse Racing and preparing the Tundra that was really good at Daytona and got in the qualifying crash there, and they really massaged on it. Marcus working hard. The guys at the racetrack really worked hard on this truck, and it's really is a type deal where you can poke your chest out and beat on it a little bit because we were able to sell the pole and win from there. So it makes my job a lot easier when you have a truck that was awesome as our Tundra was.
Timothy, congratulations. It was an amazing run. I wish we wouldn't have run out of gas, but Brian, just to see where we were going to finish, your truck was fast, as you mentioned, all afternoon long. And you mentioned it's the same truck from Daytona. Did you show up at Talladega knowing how fast it was when you first got some laps on the track?
Well, from Daytona to Talladega, like I said, the guys really worked on it and got it back in the wind tunnel, and it was definitely better when we unloaded at Talladega than it was at Daytona. So, and obviously, from last year to this year, you can always make it better. We had an idea. I mean, not cocky by any means, but confident that if everything went well throughout the practice and the qualifying session, and get to take the green flag of the race on Saturday, we felt like we had a shot. But man, when we hit the racetrack by ourselves, and even in the draft for practice, we knew we had a great Red Horse Tundra, and it was just an unbelievable feeling. I love Talladega. You know how hard these winds are to come by, but to be able to go there and do it the way we did, it's just I'm so proud of the guys. Triad horsepower was unbelievable under the hood. All day long was just an incredible day, and to have Ashley Richmond riding on the door with me, it's just had my guardian angel. And it was cool to be able to stay on the pole and take her to victory lane.
Yeah, I saw the name on the door, and a lot of folks may not be aware of that story. Your crew chief, Marcus Richmond, Ashley's her sister. Tell the folks what's going on there.
Well, Ashley is Marcus's sister, and she's my sister, because me and Marcus, I feel like are brothers, and it's just, you just hate to see somebody battling this horrible disease, and we just wanted to know that in the racing community and outside of the racing community, that everybody, how much she's loved, and everybody's pulling for her, and any type of uplifting spirits that we could send her way, we wanted to do that. And man, it was just an awesome weekend. And the weekend before that, we all the fine folks in the Leesburg, North Carolina community area held a benefit, and Ashley came out, and it was just a great gathering for a great cause, for a special person that's loved so much. So it's it's so cool to do. I just you don't know how much it meant to me, to Marcus, his family, this whole team. Is just pretty incredible.
Really cool.
Chatting with Timothy Peters, our defending race winner in the Truck Series at Talladega. He won last year, brought it home in victory lane this year as well. Going back to Pocono, there was a little bit of a turn with Red Horse Racing, taking out the Bristol manifest of things that happened there and then the dirt track at Eldora. But you guys have run off some really solid finishes. You've almost made a turn, albeit a little bit late for 2015. Have you noticed that turn yourself?
Oh, for sure. And, it's just everybody gelling and working hard together. And, I've made some mistakes throughout this season that I wish I could take back, but you can't. It's in the record books. And, you just learn from that. Obviously, we wish it could have got started at Daytona, but it didn't. But our guys have been working really hard, not just one person, everybody. This is what it's all about. It's all about putting up the numbers, being able to get to victory lane. It was just so cool to see the effort there. Cool to see everybody smiling in victory lane. A win fixes a lot of things. And, starting at Chicago in that 3-week stretch, I noticed it even more. Starting there to Vegas before we had the 2 weeks off, and then even coming into Talladega. It's just when you have momentum on your side, it's hard to break it. And it's even more special to start the 5 weeks, headed into Homestead with a win, coming back into a place, Martinsville, this coming weekend, a place that I really love. So hopefully we can continue our streak and get to victory lane a couple more times before the year's over with. Who knows? A couple more wins, and some of our competitors have a little bit of bad luck, which we don't wish that on nobody. We could be back in this thing, but for the time being, we want to stay in the top 5 and try to get on stage.
Yeah, absolutely. 5th in the standings right now, of course. And Timothy, a lot of guys, let's talk a little bit more about Talladega. A lot of guys say you can have all the strategy you want, you can have the best plans. A lot of guys entering the Cup race said, I just want to stay out front and try and have everything bad happen behind me. What kind of a mindset do you go into a race like Talladega with a super speedway? I know Joey and I were talking about how spotters really work even more looking behind, especially if you're up front than they do at other tracks. What kinds of strategy goals or ideas did you guys have going into the race?
Well, my goal was just to put yourself in position at the end. Obviously, if you could unload with a truck that's fast and be able to stay near the front or see the front, that's always your safety net. Speaking of spotters, Chris Lambert did a great job, always does a great job, but there it's just, the spotter is very important, and he's letting me know when I'm leading what the gaps are behind me, what trucks were in the top lane, how much of a run they were coming with, when they formed up, how far back they were. It was just unbelievable, and I'm sure, Joey, you was probably doing the same thing.
He's hoarse.
Definitely busy, and no time to rest. Even under the caution, I think you're pretty busy. So, I think you could go down and have all the strategy that you want to, and it goes right out the window. I think one of the questions was asked in the media center after the race, about the 33 not taking the top to get with his teammate. But, it's like I said, when your teammates are good that was a 96-lap race, teammates are good for 95 laps.
Yeah.
When you're coming back to your final attempt at the green-white checkered and to finish of the race, it's every man for himself. And, it worked out really well for us. But I guess there definitely isn't a right or a wrong strategy going down there. It's just how you position yourself at the end.
Yeah, I believe last year you had a very good year, some wins in 2014, a top 5 points finish. Here we are, top 5 again. We got Talladega, and now you got the rest of the season you have with the Truck Series. We got Martinsville, Texas, Phoenix, and Homestead. Where do you see yourselves from a risky situation? You go to Martinsville now, one of our smallest tracks that we go to. We just got back from our biggest track. What track is the riskiest of these next 4?
Well, I think you look at Daytona, Talladega, and Martinsville all in the same category. You can go there with all the strategy that you want, and the number one goal is to be in position to win. Obviously, everywhere you go, that's the position you want to be in to win, but you really can't control your fate at the speedways or Martinsville. So we didn't have too good of a Kroger 250 earlier this year, so we're looking to get the momentum back. Obviously, we have that on our side and go back into this coming Saturday and improve our finish in the Kroger 200 by 1. We finished second last year and sat on the outside pole. I'm sorry, and we feel like that we can. And there's no reason why we couldn't go in there and have a repeat of Talladega this weekend. That would be nice for me being at home.
Yeah, I was going to say since it's a home game, yeah.
But I know how tough the competition is in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, and hopefully everybody's taking notice of how our Red Horse Racing Tundra is running. Hopefully we can continue that momentum.
As he mentioned, the Kroger 200 comes up this Saturday at Martinsville. Join us on the Motor Racing Network at 1 o'clock Eastern Time Saturday for that event. Timothy, when you race at Martinsville and you race a home game, so to speak, do you get a lot more family and friends coming out and saying, hey, got any extra tickets?
Oh, for sure, but it's all within good reason, for sure. Anytime you have your family there supporting you and friends, it means the world to me. You can ask anybody, whether it's in the truck garage or the cup garage, where you want to win at, and the first place they're going to tell you is home. So I put extra pressure on myself to try to do well, and so we can have us a good time afterwards.
You've already announced your 2016 plan, staying with the Red Horse Racing and owner Tom DeLoach. I'm assuming Marcus Richmond is coming back as your crew chief?
We hope so.
Okay.
That's the plan.
Yep. And so what I'm looking, what I was looking,
I hope you know.
Well, you guys have been good together so far.
Yeah. Everything. We hope that's the plan on both occasions. Being back at Red Horse, that's my family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, haven't heard otherwise, but hopefully no change.
All right, so in the off season, you got to sit down and you make your notes, not only preparing for the last 4 races, but to get a little bit better. We've had 2 top 5s. What do you need, and what does Red Horse need to take that next step to compete for a championship?
I need to do a little bit better job of managing my mistakes. Anytime that in this business you're going to make mistakes, and the people that come out on top are the ones that keep their mistakes minimal. So every year, it seems like that we do a great job on that, but you can't control bad luck. But I'm a firm believer that you make your own luck as well. So there's been a couple of instances that I would like to have back, but obviously you can't take them back. You just learn from it, and don't beat yourself up too bad, and try to overcome it when you have a second shot at it. So it's all about being mistake-free and executing, and we do a great job of that. We've been even better here as of late. I wished it could have started at Daytona, but the speed weeks that we had kind of set the tone, and I wish I could go back and the qualifying would be a little bit different there, like it was at Talladega. And it might be a different tone in my voice now, and we might be talking about a different situation as far as finishing out 2015.
Absolutely. Well, sometimes a short memory is the best thing you can have. Timothy Peters drives the number 17 Red Horse Racing Toyota Tundra. He won at Talladega for the 2nd time in a row and heading for a home game this weekend at Martinsville. Join MRN at 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon for the Kroger 200. Timothy, congratulations, and look forward to catching up with you this weekend, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, guys.
There you go.
Congrats, man.
Yeah, how about that? 2 in a row at a super speedway is no small feat.
No, it's the largest track we race on, 2.66 miles, the fastest track we race on for the Truck Series. And
we saw those things can be a little bit unpredictable. I don't know if you noticed. Or
yeah,
not.
yeah. Supposing they got to implement the brand new rule. The first time the green-white checker was only 1 green-white checker at the super speedways, and we still didn't make it all the way around. We saw the 05 and the 23 guys get together. All the drivers were safe. which we got to implement the backstretch safer barrier, which was all the way inside and outside. One of the first tracks.
Talladega announced that they completed. all the surface area of the walls.
If you can hit it, it's got a safer barrier on it.
Yeah, which is good.
Assuming you're on the track, absolutely. But again, sitting in the top 5, those guys are right there on the edge to make take that next step. And as Timothy said, it's just a matter of really fine tuning and getting rid of some of the mistakes. Whether he wants to carry all the burden on his shoulders, and that's a good quarterback of his team. But he knows that the other team, his team inside the garage, is working hard, and all they got to do is polish a little bit here and there, and they'll be competing for a championship in years to come.
Well, I thought was key. He said, "That's my family. That's where I want to be." Talking about his team with Tom DeLoach and Red Horse and Marcus Richmond, his best friend growing up, and now having his sister Ashley on the side of the car as she battles cancer. You can just feel the closeness of that organization. Really cool to see. We got to take another time out here on Motorsports Monday. Already some Twitter questions coming in. We'll get to those in a moment. We'll talk more about what happened on Sunday at Talladega. We've got some other guys that you'll want to hear from along the way, and we'll do all that after you hear this.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
The road to victory lane isn't just for drivers anymore. Introducing the official daily fantasy game of NASCAR at DraftKings.com, America's favorite daily fantasy sports site. Just pick a team of 5 drivers and stay under the salary cap. Outscore your opponents and win. Hurry to DraftKings.com now and use promo code COAST to play for free. You could win part of the $1 billion in prizes being awarded this year. Enter COAST to play for free now at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
There's a battle to win. Nations have dropped from 16 to 12 to 8. Now it's down to the championship 4 at Homestead Miami Speedway. The stage is set. The stakes are high. The glory will live forever. It's time! The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Championship Ford EcoBoost 400. November 22nd. Go to HomesteadMiamiSpeedway.com for tickets. Only one will rise.
Hey, I'm Casey Cain. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday.
Green flag is out here at Talladega Superspeedway. Here comes the field to the start-finish line. Trouble already on the start. One car spins. The 22 of Joey Logano apparently spun the tires. To the inside of the track goes Kyle Larson and Jimmy Johnson. The caution flag is out as the field goes to turn 1. This will not be that final attempt.
And the reason is the caution was out before the leaders hit the stripe. The yellow flag was already in the air before the cars crossed the start-finish line, Logano and Dale Earnhardt Jr., so it is not an attempt at a restart.
So there you go. They didn't make it to the stripe with the flag in the air, so they wave it off and try one more time. Kevin Harvick, in this instance, had said a few laps earlier he felt something was wrong with his motor and tried to get out of the way. He wasn't involved in this particular incident. This was Joey Logano maybe spun his tires a little bit, maybe got a little chuck from the 24, and then everybody kind of trying to miss that is what started it all.
Yeah, one of the rules that's interesting in the Sprint Cup Series is you're allowed to push. We saw a driver, the 54 truck, Bell, get black flagged for pushing and locking bumpers. Locking bumpers was key in NASCAR's view, and they black flagged him. Well, in the Sprint Cup Series, you're allowed to, and one of the prime times and opportunities to have those pushes go on are on restarts.
You're already right there together.
You're already right there. You can get to them without hurting their acceleration. But what happens is you have 5, 6, 7 guys all doing it, and the guy in the middle ends up squirting out because he simply can't accept the 4 or 5 guys behind him. So
and keep in mind the restart zones are bigger now,
larger,
which gives more of an option for that leader to go, and then who knows?
That's it. So we have acceleration. We heard them in the background. They're accelerating. A guy squirts out. They start wrecking well before the start-finish line. Let's not – NASCAR is getting banned or getting bashed for having the green-white checker rule and then saying, well, we're making rules as we go. The rule was there. Yeah. We started this weekend knowing, we found out on Wednesday, I believe, that we're only going to have
in the week
for green-white checker. Let's remind ourselves why we did that. We're trying to reduce the number of catastrophic wrecks that we've seen.
There was a lot of talk about it after the green-white checkers at Daytona in July, in which Austin Dillon got up into the fence.
Yes, and unfortunately that happened on the very first attempt.
Try.
We can wreck cars with the best of them at any given time, but NASCAR said in the interest of safety, we're just going to give you one time to wreck. not three
Right.
different occasions.
Fewer chances to have something go wrong.
And everybody was okay with it. Before this weekend, we didn't
Drivers
hear-
were asking
The
for that.
drivers were
Yeah.
asking. The fans are going, okay, we don't want to see wrecks. Unfortunately, what
Oh, they
we
do.
Well,
They do.
Yeah, nobody's going to admit to it. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, they don't want to see anybody hurt. People want to see wrecks. It's
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
like any other thing. They like to see hard collisions. They don't want to see a guy's helmet come off.
Yeah.
So when we made this rule, NASCAR stuck by it. We didn't initially start that race. They did not complete not one car. Had one single car cross the start-finish line and been scored one lap ahead, he would have won that race right then and there.
Yeah.
But they went back and they retried it again, and that's when the supposed manipulation of the 4-car, because his process for starting the initial start is different than the one on the second one.
All right, let's check that out. Here's number one, that second attempt at the green-white checkers.
They're on the gas. The green flag is out again here at Talladega. Jeff Gordon with a little push there as cars are crashing behind them at the start-finish line. Again, go on the green flag. As soon as it falls, they clump up in the back of the pack. 4 or 5 cars spin, including Matt Kenseth and others here at Talladega, right past the start-finish line.
Apparently Kevin Harvick not coming up to speed. That stacked up the field and sent at least a dozen cars around. The caution is out. The checkered flag is out. Now the question will be, who was out front?
Joey Logano has been declared the winner here at Talladega Superspeedway, 3 in a row.
That's pretty unheard of in and of itself, 3 in a row to sweep a whole round of the chase.
Yep.
But there's a couple of critical points here. A lot of folks, as we mentioned, accusing Kevin Harvick of doing that intentionally. We heard the cut earlier where he said, no, it wasn't. We heard from Mike Helton, who said, we don't have any proof of anything, therefore there's nothing that we can act on at this time.
Yep.
The other thing to consider is where everybody is when the caution flag comes out. This time they had crossed the start-finish line, so it's a matter of determining whether the 22 or the 88 was out front.
Yeah, and they would go back to video replay because they actually get rid of the scoring loops at the time.
Yeah, that was the old thing that people used to remember. They'd go back to the last scoring loop.
Exactly right. And then we have video, very good video evidence. Most people have seen it. If not, you can get on a channel and look at it, I'm sure. But the yellow flag did come out, or the lights came on. Joey was clearly a nose ahead of the 88. So that declared the winner, and then Joey ends up in victory lane for the 3rd time in a row, again, sweeping a chase round, which hasn't been happened to this point.
Pretty spectacular. Now, here's what Joey Logano had to say after all that was over.
The 24 was so fast. You know, we seen it in qualifying how fast he was, and I saw it throughout the race, how he is such a great pusher. You know, and when you realize someone's that much faster, you got to got to go to that lane. He's faster. I've seen the top to be a little bit better too on the restart. So proud of this team here. This is 3 in a row. It's unbelievable. Just I don't even know what to say. I'm speechless about the whole situation.
Take us through that last restart, and did you know that you were out front when the caution came out?
Yeah, I did. I was, I had a good start, and then 24 was pushing me over. It worked the plan perfectly, but the inside lane started pulling back up. But then I saw the lights come on while I was still in the lead. I'm like, okay, I think we got it there. But, it's all about how the timing loops are and the camera and making sure that that happens. So, to pull it in victory lane here at the end of Talladega, it's just so cool.
If I'd have told you before we came into this round you'd win 3 in a row, what would you have said?
I said you're crazy, but I tell you what, it's amazing. Dreams come true, I guess. So we just got to keep this stream rolling. We got a long ways to go. We're back to 0 after this race going into Martinsville. So we need to make something happen in the next 3 races.
Regardless of whether or not it's in the chase, that makes it even more of an accomplishment. But, man, you just don't hear of guys reeling off multiple wins in a row anymore these days.
Very difficult, just because the level of competition is so high. A couple of interesting things now. So we have the 2nd round of our chase. Now we go into the 3rd round of our eliminator. The good thing for Joey is he has tons and tons of momentum on that team. All the teams are equal. So all what you did the last 2 rounds means nothing.
Right.
It puts you a really nice spot in the garage, but right now you're either tied for 1st or you're tied for last.
Well, that's a good way to look at it.
However you want to look
The
at
8
it.
remaining guys, they all have their point totals reset,
That's
and
it.
with the wins, Joey will have obviously the top seed, I guess you could call it, in this round.
Yep, that's it. But right now we go to Martinsville, everybody's equal. So what that means is if you have some momentum, you want to try to carry it in your pocket and walk around strutting around like a chicken because you have the momentum. If you don't have the momentum, some of the teams crawled into this round, you have amnesia. knowing that you're 3 races away from
Wipe the slate
racing for a
clean.
championship. 3
Yeah.
races. Martinsville, Texas, Phoenix. You need to get a win in one of the next 3, Martinsville, Texas, Phoenix, to guarantee your opportunity for a championship hope in Homestead. If not, you're going to try to go out and beat those other guys and outpoint them, because we have 3 races. 4 drivers move on. One guy doesn't have to win a race. He has to have more points than the other guys.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's assuming each of the other 3 guys win a race.
I'm willing to go out on a limb right now
Go
and
ahead.
say that there will not be somebody win all 3 races in this round. What do you think about that?
Wow, that's
huh?
a risk. That's
pretty
a risky
bold
move.
right
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
huh? You
Yeah.
like that?
Go play Vegas. That's
yeah,
really
I should
yeah.
let that prediction like that.
Wow.
Wow. All right, now the guy who got nosed out, we heard Joey Logano say he knew he was a little bit ahead of Dale Earnhardt Jr. when the caution came out. He did not make it. This is number 6, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Here's what he had to say afterwards.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. out of the race car. Dale, well, let's talk about that final restart and your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I thought we had a good shot starting on the inside for sure.
Jeff Gordon comes in to shake hands with him.
Thank you. And Brad was pushing me fine. I was worried that the 22 went up to the top because Brad decided he wasn't going to push me, so it'd give the 22 the win. But Brad was pushing me good, and they had an accident and needed to throw the yellows. So, it's dangerous to keep. Everybody's going to ask me 100 times how we feel about the green, white, checkered rule now. I feel good about it. I think it's a good, safe call. The race ended as per the rules, and I'm totally okay with that. They'll decide, officially who won the race. If Joey won it, he's had an awesome round. Unbelievable. So we did everything we could today. We're almost perfect. Tried really hard.
And there was a point earlier in that race where he had to come back down pit road for one of his guys being over the wall too soon and barely held on to the tail end of the lead lap when Justin Allgaier lost a motor. And at the same time, Martin Truex Jr. was in position to get the lucky dog at that point. So 2 guys were saved by that one motor blowing up, and it was, for those guys anyway, the perfect situation because the leaders were coming for Dale Earnhardt Jr. because he had to come out back by himself after making the pass-through penalty and were about to gobble him up. He would have been the lucky dog, and Truex would have not been able to get back on the lead lap.
The precision of the cameras on pit road was displayed on Dale Jr.'s penalty. Literally by the blink of an eye, those guys were on the ground. One of the front changers or carriers was on the ground a split second before Dale Jr. crossed the line for a pit box behind. So he was penalized. Under green, he came back out on the track. Nothing was wrong with his car, but the speeds are so slow when you're by yourself that the pack was chewing them up. He was less than a half a lap from being a lap down and then having to race for that free pass. Truex and those guys had issues earlier in the day, him and the 3 and a couple of other guys, but Truex was a chase racer that ended up getting back on the lead lap because at that time, him being a lap down and almost losing another lap, they were going to miss the chase. So that 51 car got 2 of your chase racers back in and allowed them to compete for the chance to move on, and one of them was able to. Truex was able to gain enough spots and then move on for the eliminator round.
It's interesting because Dale Earnhardt Jr. was well ahead of Truex, but he needed to actually have the win in order to move on because of the bad race, the previous race out.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad our most popular driver was able to say Brad was doing his job. Brad was pushing.
Well, see,
we were coming.
How come you guys ruined everything for the 88, and specifically you? It's all your fault,
Well,
according to the Twitter machine here.
The interesting thing was Joey mentioned how good the 24 was.
Yeah.
So you have that. One of the decisions the driver has is what lane am I going to take on a restart? I can take the inside lane or the outside lane. The bottom lane would have allowed the 2 and 22 to be together. But it would have allowed the 24 and the 88 to be together.
Right, teammates.
The drivers aren't thinking about, okay, if the 88 wins, that gets Kyle out and that gets Newman. They're thinking
about right now, this
one
moment.
thing. Right now, I want to win the race. Well, if I want to win the race, the best way to do it to prevent somebody else is to get in front of the guy I feel the most competition from, and that was the 24. He was fast all day long. And
pole winner.
Exactly right. And it does allow the driver of a number team to get in line behind the 88. So you're kind of stacking your cards here, and you believe in your favor. We had a good run on the bottom. The bottom lane was just getting ready to move when chaos broke out on that first green, white checker attempt.
Whichever it is,
Right.
attempt, yeah.
So it worked out. Joey ended up in victory lane. Timing is so critical, and that's why all the drivers that didn't make it, the 11 and the 20 and the 31, those drivers weren't happy with the process of that last green, white checker. It upsets me that we have some of the best race drivers in the world, and we can't get through a restart. But again, everybody has their own agenda, and I say it every week. It's a really selfish sport.
It surely is. All right, we got to take another time out here on Motorsports Monday. When we come back, I promise we'll get to your Twitter questions. Cliff, Dan, Zach, we will get your Twitter questions next, and we'll hear from those who called into our fan forum hotline over the weekend. Stick around.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
It takes a high-performance vehicle to win a NASCAR race. And yeah, you need a race car too. Truckers looking to win? Drive Freightliner trucks, the official hauler of NASCAR. Our haulers transport race cars and equipment from track to track 38 weekends of the year. From the engine to the seats, every detail is specifically engineered to give Freightliner drivers a reliable and comfortable ride. For more information, visit FreightlinerTrucks.com. Freightliner Trucks, run smart.
NASCAR returns to Martinsville Speedway for the 7th race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. The Goodies Headache Relief Shot 500 November 1st. Witness Jeff Gordon's final full season of racing as he pursues his 9th grandfather clock at Martinsville. But names like Hamlin, Johnson, Harvick, and Earnhardt Jr. stand in the way. It's a half mile of mayhem where only the strong survive. Don't miss the Goodies Headache Relief Shot 500 November 1st. For tickets, call 877-RACE-TICKS or visit martinsvillespeedway.com.
Hi, I'm Miss Sprint Cup Kim Kuhn. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday.
Kim Kuhn, by the way, did a really strong interview with Dale Earnhardt Jr. over the weekend. You can hear the unedited version, all the behind-the-scenes stuff at MRN.com right now.
Good.
So it was really cool. Twitter questions right here. All right, Cliff, Kayak Cliff wants to know, instead of green-white checkers, could it make sense to add 10 laps at plate tracks?
Yeah, not really. It doesn't make any sense to add laps to a race. We start the race before the race even starts. We know a scheduled distance. Adding laps isn't going to solve
You could be right in the same boat again.
We're going to be right. We could get to lap 9 and 10 and still have the same problem if a caution comes out. The green-white checker scenario worked really well. I said last week, I wish we would have stuck with 3 green-white checkers, but maybe changed the way we lined up the cars and gone back to a single file restart. That gets rid of that big pack, but still offers opportunities
just
for
super speedways, you mean?
Just for super speedways, completely Daytona and Talladega only, but offers the driver still to make runs on other drivers and allow passing to go on. The driver, the leader out front of a green-white checker, has the advantage because everybody's so ganged up, they're all dragging each other back. So once that one car gets out front, he really has an advantage because the other 3 are just sitting there scrubbing speed off everybody. And we see very limited passing for the lead, unlike the Truck Series. Now, I like the Truck Series. I wish we'd have just done the same thing. Kept green-white checkers, but kept them two-file because there's so much passing and drafting. But these Sprint Cup cars simply need the room to maneuver as we're accelerating up to the gears. And they're still not wide open speed-wise. They're still accelerating after 2 laps.
And Talladega is about the widest, one of the widest tracks we have anyway, and you saw what happened there.
Yeah, adding laps, the bottom line, doesn't solve your problem. It actually creates 10 more laps of opportunity to create problems.
Even more problems. Just what we were hoping for. All right, Zach, Mr. Y Noel Bandit wants to know, would Joey have expected Brad K to do the same thing to Harvick if the roles were reversed, or was that just dirty?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
I think he's asking if Brad was in the spot that Harvick was in, having an issue with his motor, knowing that he needed to hold his spot, or would he not do that?
We would have to go to the driver's that code book that we talk about.
I want to get a copy of one of those to have here on the set.
Because yesterday, the driver behind the car number 4 had his code book out, and he was reading it.
And what does it say?
Well, it said, if my team works really, really hard and does everything they can to get us in the chase, then I have to do the same.
Right.
Okay? So whether he intentionally did it or not, he's the only driver, but his decision-making was based on his code, his ethic. Now, ironically enough, it said something different in Denny Hamlin's book because he didn't agree with what. So they give everybody else these different books. That's the thing. We got different versions of the Bible, There's different versions of this driver code.
Yeah, the King James version or
the Kevin Harvick version,
the
or the Denny
NIV, or
Hamlin
you name
version.
it. Yeah,
That's it. This gets handed down from the fraternities of other drivers.
Right.
And again, he lived by his code. It's nobody else's code, and that's his decision. We'll never know. He'll never know. There'll never be another talk about. Maybe years down the road, a book will come out somewhere, and somebody will have some videotaped evidence, like Bigfoot and Unicorn.
That old grainy film where he's walking along. Yeah. Okay.
Why can't we take a better picture of Bigfoot?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe it's because he's not real.
It was
Well,
the driver
no, I don't know.
code. So no, I don't think Joey would ever expect his teammate.
I wonder if he's asking you if you think Brad would do that if he was in the same boat.
You know, I mean, I've seen Brad race. Brad's not a dirty driver. He's aggressive. We saw him make a move at Texas at some question.
And your definition depends on whose fan you are.
100%.
Right?
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
So if you're a Brad K fan, you love the maneuver in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a Jeff Gordon fan, you think it was the worst maneuver ever.
Right.
But
the bottom line to me is NASCAR has created this boys have at it situation, this environment where you want to have these Game 7 moments, and those aren't my words, those are Brian France's words. So if that's the case and you're going to have eliminations every 3 races, you're going to have situations like this. It's inevitable.
You've taken a 38-race season and boiled it down into a 1-race season at Talladega, at a place like that. The interesting race that I look forward to is Martinsville, because now we're going to beat and bang even if we like the guy in front of us.
Right,
so,
right. Just
so what happens?
whether you like it or not.
Yeah, so what happens, and ironically enough, I saw numerous times yesterday Joey behind Matt and Matt behind Joey.
I did too. I was thinking the same thing.
And they had to work together. It was
Yeah.
it was a forced marriage for several laps. But now we go, how's Denny going to race Harvick? How's Matt going to race Joey? The only thing I'm happy about is we haven't pissed somebody off in a while, so nobody's.
As far as you know,
well, I
as
do,
far
yeah.
as you know, except for the guy who wanted you to help Dale Jr.
Well,
there.
that guy,
yeah.
but as far as on the racetrack, we've actually been everybody's friend. We race with Paul Menard and back and forth all afternoon long. So hopefully we can go to Martinsville and see some of the rest of how this is going to play out.
All right, we got one final Twitter question here. Dan McMichael wants to know, how does NASCAR control drivers from changing and ending, like yesterday, or Joey with Matt, and like Ryan Newman last year?
Okay, well, let's the two are different. For instance, Joey and Matt was aggressive racing. And I like to be specific about when I say things, but Joey did not wreck Matt. He spun him out. Matt didn't hit anything. He just slowed his progress down immensely.
Well, when you're sideways, you don't go as fast.
Exactly right, but they didn't hit anything. He was able to continue on. What happened yesterday was a wreck. People got in the walls. They could not continue. If that race had been longer, there were several cars that were out of the race. So we try to be specific to we're cutting corners.
Yeah.
You know, we're measuring with micrometers and using chainsaws. I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
So the idea is that NASCAR can't control everything, and the way they try to can keep under control is by stern words.
Yeah.
They say
shaking fingers.
Exactly right, because there's so much. They'll never be able to prove what Kevin Harvick's intentions were.
Right.
They will never be able to prove what Joey Logano's intentions were. Did he really try to wreck Matt, as Matt said all week?
He said he lied. He said
lied.
he did.
He's
yeah.
lied. He's trying to wreck. You'll never be able to prove that from a racer's standpoint. Joey was being aggressive. Kevin Harvick was being aggressive. The only people that know they got wrecked are the ones that hit the wall. Kevin easily could have been as innocent as anybody. We can never know. If you watch the video, you can form your own opinions.
Right.
And again, I've been talking about these guys that are claiming to be the best drivers in the world, and we can't get through a restart.
I think what people are trying to get back to is 2013, the whole Michael Waltrip Racing situation with Clint Boyer and Martin Truex Jr., where you had, okay, you come into the pits, you do this, you do that. Yeah. There was some evidence there that NASCAR could act on. In this case,
there isn't.
Right.
There is no evidence.
That's what makes them apples and oranges.
They've learned, right? Or you know, if you want to look at both sides of the spectrum, your crew chief on the 4 says to Kevin Harvick before that restart, "Boy, we really need a caution here.
Wink, wink.
Once we pass the start-finish line, those guys have to wreck in front of us." Or he could have been saying, "Man, we're really in deep crap right now. We're in deep trouble. The only way we're going to make this chase is if those guys are idiots in front of us and they wreck."
Yeah.
Each comment can be the same comment. One can be taken as normal. One can be taken as a derivative to put ideas in Kevin's mind. You'll never know. It wasn't obvious like it was in 2013 when Brian Vickers was called down pit road.
Yeah.
He's like, "What? I got to pit. Yes, pit now. You're
Yeah,
pitting.
That's a different animal
That's
entirely.
different, and they
Okay.
were able to prove it. And there were some rule changes with communications and radios that was changed because of that.
All right, let's get on to our on-track, off-track situation here because we're running out of time in the program and we need to get to this. What about you for on-track?
Every sport has had their 7-game moment. NASCAR has done exactly what they created. We have 10 races, 3 different rounds before we get to Homestead. It has created immense intensity. My wife and I at Flying Annie were arguing about the whole thing.
Uh-oh.
And if me and her and I, whatever language you want to use correctly, can argue about it at your house, it's going on around the country. Years ago, we'd get to 8 races left. One driver, Jimmy Johnson, would be out so far out in front, it turned off people. They were watching football and other sports. We've created a lot of drama in NASCAR with this series. Kudos to them. It's keeping people involved. Good, bad, or indifferent. People are talking about it.
Yeah, all right. My on-track is Joey Logano and the 22 team.
Yeah.
How can you say anything is less on track or any more on track than they are right now? To sweep a round of the chase is unheard of. To win 3 races in a row anymore is unheard of, and yet here they've done it again. Even when everybody thought, well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the strongest plate car, he looks like he's going to win this thing. The guy right behind him harassing him was the 22. The 2 was there as well, but he's been up there all this time. And even when everybody was talking earlier about how what a fantastic season the Gibbs cars were having, and they are, and what a great season Kevin Harvick was having, and he is, but the guy who's always been right there all that time has been the 22.
He's the best driver in the garage to this point.
Right.
In 2015, he's outdriven his competitors, has made the least amount of mistakes, has been the most aggressive on restarts, has taken a car that has maybe been ill-handling and put it on his shoulders during the race if Todd and those guys haven't been able to adjust on it. He's driven that team right now to the championship contender that he is.
Off track.
NASCAR created a bunch of drama with this chase. It's been great.
Wait,
Woo-hoo!
what?
Yep. Unfortunately, the added pressure to the race teams. Now I'm taking my fan hat off. We've had it. We've had a great intensity. But now as a racer's hat, it's forcing me to make decisions. And we saw it back in 13. We've seen a little bit in 14. Now we're seeing it in 15 again. The intensity created by the chase is causing us to make decisions that we normally didn't make. You are
to do things out of the ordinary.
Out of the ordinary because we have to get to the next round. It's making us really take our driver code book and throw it out, and you may make moves that you normally wouldn't do, and it's created some controversies that might dirty up the system.
How far is too far?
Well,
is there a line?
Matt Kenda said yesterday it's just unfortunate that NASCAR's lost control of the games, and that's what we don't like about this sport. There's the manipulations of how finishing. You know, we shouldn't be questioning whether a defending champion is wrecking people on purpose to make the next round. We created this drama with the chase.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Then how can you ask guys not to do it?
Exactly right. So unfortunately, the old Newton thing, every action is an equal and opposite reaction. We're seeing.
You're bringing a little science in here,
exactly
huh?
right.
All right.
You mentioned Bernoulli's principle earlier, which
Whoa.
is it. But you've seen the good reaction from the chase, but now you're seeing the bad reaction of the chase, and that part I simply don't like. We shouldn't be questioning if guys are doing things illegally or manipulating but the chase is forcing them to do it.
Well, I don't know how you get the toothpaste back in the tube on this one now that you've already done that. My off track is what is a green, white checker attempt. I don't think, as we discussed earlier, we have heard it defined that way before.
Oh,
several drivers. Now we will, yes. Several drivers, several crew chiefs said they thought it was over once the green light came on they were accelerating. The pace truck had pulled off, and here we go. Now I think there's going to be another addendum to the rule book where you have to cross the start-finish line.
Just like we hit walls without safer barriers where we shouldn't be hitting them, we can find the loopholes in a rule, and that's exactly. So you can guarantee between now and Homestead there's going to be a little revision to the rule book of being able to clarify exactly what an attempt is at a green. Not even a green-white checker, but when do we actually go back to green? You know, what constitutes starting that race.
Right. Let's get to a couple of questions here one question before we go to break. We got a short amount of time here. Let's go to number 16, Jacob in Pennsylvania with his fan forum question.
To begin with, on Tuesday when they called that 3 green-white checkers were reduced to 1, I thought this was a bad idea to begin with. And then when they called the first restart off, but they let the second one go into the first corner, I thought that was an awful decision. This race was going to be a great one until the end. I put this down as one of the worst NASCAR races I've ever watched in my entire life.
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far. I understand the feeling about there's some confusion at the end and people weren't sure about which way things were going to go. Now, in the truck race the day before, we had a red flag situation.
Yeah, red flag so that we got a good track going back to the green-white checker, and we still didn't make it back 2 laps. Guys are just simply being so aggressive, knowing this is it. This is all we have. I disagree with Jacob. I thought the racing was really good from the intensity standpoint. You saw, and if you paid attention to who had to move, and I know the TV shows and MRN was talking about points as they run now, and if the race ended now, who's manipulating, and we paid attention to it all day long. The issue with the green-white checkers we could have done 3 of those. We haven't done them in years. I've been a part of several races that we've done 3 green-white checkers and still wrecked on the 3rd one.
Yeah.
It's not a problem solver, but you're trying to give the fans the finish of a race under green. And again, as
opposed to the anticlimactic finish under caution.
And it was very anticlimactic. Jeff Gordon won a Talladega race years ago when Dale Jr. was going to try to win under yellow before we had green-white checkers. So even before this rule happened, we had these issues where races simply – we just can't –
There's no easy answer.
No, because we simply can't just keep trying to restart.
Yeah.
Eventually we'll have 5 cars in the field, and those guys can wreck.
You just keep going till somebody's still running and everybody else is wrecked out?
Right.
Oh, my goodness. All right, we got to take a timeout here on Motorsports Monday. More of your fan forum questions when we come back.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
For a professional option of moving your trucks and heavy equipment safely, effectively, and on time, you can count on Houseby Transport. We serve nationwide and global industry-leading companies through a network of experienced carriers. We provide both drive-away and hauling service, regardless of equipment size. We handle all permitting, making your transport and logistics job that much easier. For more information or to request a quote, contact us today at houseby.com.
Hey, I'm Joey Logano. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday. How does Joey Meier have a radio show?
You won't advance. How disappointing is that for you guys? And thoughts on that last green and white checkered?
Yeah, I didn't see it, but I knew the 4 could only run 30, 40 miles an hour, and you know he knew that he wasn't going to make it unless a wreck happened. So I didn't see it, so I don't know whether he calls it or not. But my guess is it started right around him. So it's just part of it. Everyone's trying to do everything they can, but from our perspective, we just put ourselves behind all those laps down, trying to get the bare bond to stick to the top of the roof. Just couldn't do it.
Very good. Thanks, Denny. Very disappointed Denny Hamlin knocked out of the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup.
Kim Kuhn talking with Denny Hamlin after the race, and he believes that Kevin Harvick did something wrong. So does Austin in Idaho.
I'm a little disappointed about the finish this week. I'm a big Junior fan, but even I knew deep down that really if you have to depend on Talladega to get in, you really didn't have much of a chance to begin with. I agreed with the first call on the green-white checkered because they hadn't even crossed the start and finish line by the time they flew that caution, so it would have been a very anticlimactic way to end it. But I'm very skeptical about any defense of Kevin Harvick at this point because as I watched the replay, it's fairly clear that his steering wheel did turn right. He did turn the steering wheel right. So I'm interested to see what develops with the Kevin Harvick situation. It's very, very sketchy. I don't know if they're going to penalize him or black flag him or do whatever. He doesn't have very solid ground to stand on right now.
The only people that weren't upset were the people ahead of the wreck.
Yeah.
Everybody else got to move on.
Everybody
They're
was
happy.
upset.
Nobody sees anything wrong with what Harvick did except for the guys that were involved.
And we're going international now on our fan forum hotline. Jeremy and Pam from Australia.
G'day, guys. This is Jeremy from Sydney, Australia.
And I'm Pamela from Melbourne, Australia.
We're having an awesome time at our first Talladega race weekend here in Alabama. Our question for you is, now that the captain is majority owner of a V8 supercar team, do you think we'll see any NASCAR drivers go to race at Bathurst? Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
There you go.
Would love to go to these different tracks outside the country with 38 races a year over 40 weekends, plus Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. The schedule simply doesn't allow us to race outside the country as much as we'd like to.
Absolutely. All right, if you want to participate in our Fan Forum hotline, the number is 844-427-5676. Don't forget, on Motor Racing Network Saturday, we'll have the Camping World Truck Series Kroger 200, 1 o'clock Eastern Time Saturday. On Sunday, we will have the Goodies Headache Relief Shot 500 from Martinsville. That one starts at noon Eastern Time. For Joey, I'm Woody. We'll see you next Monday right back
You've
here.
been listening to MRN Motorsports Monday. Tune in again next Monday at noon for all the latest news, results, and interviews from NASCAR on MotorRacingNetwork.com. MRN Motorsports Monday is also available on demand at the MotorRacingNetwork.com Media Center or download it from iTunes or Stitcher. MRN Motorsports Monday is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.